Oaklander, gotta love that Oaklander, wanna see that Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. East of heaven, with our new exit on 287, we can be seen on Channel 20, that's our Channel 20. Oaklander, gotta love that Oaklander, wanna see that Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. Oaklander, Oaklander, Oakland TV. We love it.
Good evening, and welcome to the Oaklander. I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo. Years ago, I'm told that when you gave your phone number to someone in Oakland, that only 7 and the last 4 digits were ever mentioned. The 337 exchange has served Oakland well for many years. And as the borough grew, 405 was added some 10 years ago, and now 651 is our latest telephone exchange, as Oakland grows at the rate of a voracious adolescent. Our guest tonight has lived in town for 32 years, and long before that, he vacationed here as a boy near the Ramapo River. Fred Blom is the entertainment director for the AARP at the Oakland Senior Center here in town. And Fred is here to talk about some of the events at the Senior Center, tell a few stories about our town, and then Fred will entertain us with his guitar along with his son Tim. So thanks for being on the Oaklander tonight, Fred.
Thank you for having me.
I may add that we are taping the show this evening from the Senior Center, and I'd like to thank Peg Delmore for letting us use the center and for all of her help. So Fred, what was it like in Oakland during her days of a resort community?
Well, we used to swim in the river. You can't do that now.
No.
No, I don't even know if you can get your knees wet in the river now. I can remember seeing canoes, all kinds of boating on the Ramapo River. Where the recreation field is right now was just a huge meadow. And I was kind of delighted when we first moved into town to see the house that I stayed at, which was my uncle's house. They had rented it for the summer, and the house is still standing.
Today, the house is still standing?
The house is still standing, and that was quite a kick for me. The kids back then used to do a lot of hunting for Indian artifacts on the river.
Sure.
We used to find a lot of arrowheads, tomahawk heads, a bunch of different artifacts. And the river was very, very clean, very nice, very pleasant place, and the people were just delightful. Really had a great time when we were here. And I promised myself that when I was ready to raise my family, somehow I'd move to Oakland again. And been here 32 years.
32 years, and you have 3 children now?
3 children.
Right.
Yeah.
Your wife Betty is also involved at the Senior Center also.
Yeah, she and I have been involved right from the beginning of the AARP, some 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now, and she's hospitality chairperson, and we enjoy it. We really do. We have a great group, and we're trying to expand. Hopefully, come September, we will expand.
I hear you're having an event coming up in a few months here. Could you tell our
November the 8th,
audience?
November the 8th, we're going to have a hoedown here at the Senior Center, sponsored by the AARP. We will have food catered, and we'll have square dancing. We'll have some line dancing and some regular dancing.
Well, that sounds pretty interesting. This is open to the public, Fred?
Yes, it is open to the public. You needn't be an AARP member to come to this dance.
And I'm sure that our local viewers can see this in the Suburban News. There'll be enough publicity for this?
Yes, and I'll be putting up posters all over town as I always do.
Well, I understand when you visited us at the Oakland Day picnic there, that you had said that you had been involved in music for quite a long time.
Oh, forever.
And your mom and dad were originally in vaudeville.
Vaudeville people. My father had the band, and my mother sang with the band.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers may not even know what vaudeville means. Could you give us a little background on vaudeville? And
well, vaudeville has no real definition. Vaudeville was entertainment, much dog acts, singers, dancers, bands, magicians, had a lot of everything. And you played a particular circuit. You played the Orpheus circuit, you played the Keith circuit. You went different towns. You might play in Sheboygan for 2 nights, and then all of a sudden you're off to Indianapolis, and then all of a sudden you're in Newark.
Altoona,
PA, 3. And sometimes they would do 6, 7, 8 shows a day, depending on the the demand for the entertainment.
So how did you get involved in music? Did your parents teach you how to play the guitar?
My father taught me to play the guitar, but I've been singing since I was 2 years old. Our whole family sang or played. There were 5 children. My father had the band, my mother sang with the band. The 5 children either played an instrument or sang. And then one by one everybody was getting married off, and it was down to myself and my sister. My sister was the real singer.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Yes, she had a voice like a bell. I mean, it was just a gorgeous voice.
Now, as you matured and you grew, you joined the Air Force. You were telling me, and you had you had done some pretty popular shows in that time with Ted Mack.
Yeah,
right?
Did Ted Mack's show 4 or 5 times. I had a singing partner at that time. I met him in high school, and we used to do country music. Used to yodel.
Really?
In harmony. Oh, yeah. That was a big thing back then. You don't hear very much yodeling today. Very, very, very seldom do you hear it.
Or maybe you can start something with a kind of like a rap yodeling or something, and really kind of blaze your own new trail or something.
Oh, that would be something. Of course, I don't yodel anymore. That's many cigarettes and many years ago, and
You don't smoke
I've
anymore,
lost it.
do you?
No. I'm a heart patient, Al. I have to be careful.
Good.
My wife watches what I eat, and I have to watch what I eat too.
Well, what type of music was your real passion as you were in service and working the circuit with Arthur Godfrey and what was it, Thompson Blue in the service?
That was the All Air Force talent show. I never did get into the Thompson Blue show itself. We did a talent hunt. You did process of elimination. You had a base-wide talent show. If you won, you went on to the state military. This is all Air Force.
Right.
And you participated in the Air Force talent shows within the state. And then they had the Southeast Conference, and then they had the semifinals and the finals and on and on. But I had the opportunity to work with many, many talented people, many talented people.
On an amateur level or a professional level?
Well, they're at a professional level now. George Lindsay played Goober on Mayberry RFD.
Okay.
Jerry Van Dyke. Let's see.
He played the banjo. Jerry
Yes,
Van
he
Dyke.
did.
Right,
Yes, he
banjo
did.
player.
In his sleep, if I remember right on the show. No, he's quite a banjo player. But I was lucky to meet quite a few fine entertainers. And the gamut of my music ran from country music when I first started. And then when I was stationed in Georgia, I heard a little too much country music, so I went over to the pop field. And that's where I pretty much stayed.
After you I guess you started your own little combo or something?
Yeah.
You played but you weren't a real professional musician. You did other things as far as a living.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I worked in the corrugated box field. I worked in the printing plate field, and music was just a sideline.
And that's where you knew my Uncle Frank from?
Yes, because he used to sell me printing plates when I was in the corrugated box business.
I had to get a plug-in for my Uncle Frank DiGiacomo.
Great guy, great guy. He pretty much taught me what I needed to know about printing plates, so I owe a lot to him.
And as you went on, I guess you did the wedding circuit and things like that,
Yeah.
and did your...
Always did the wedding circuit.
Mm-hmm.
Did the weddings, did a lot of banquets, a lot of house parties.
How big of a band did you work with? 4-piece, 5-piece?
Well, we had, when I was living in Rockland County, we lived up near Haverstraw, New York. I worked with a 5-piece band. And then finally I left them and formed my own 4-piece group. And we had that group for 10 or 12 years, and then I went down to playing with just a trio. And sometimes if somebody wanted a saxophone player, we would add a 4th man. But basically it was the trio, accordion and guitar and drums. And then I would do some singles by my solos, by myself in different places. But the music business, I've been involved in that for 50+ years.
Did you teach your son Tim to play?
No. Now the reason why I didn't teach my son Tim to play, I never learned to read music, and I always played everything by ear, what they call by ear.
Sure.
And I guess I was good enough to get by with that. But when he started playing, felt that he should learn to read music. And he ended up studying with Eddie Hazel, who's quite a jazz guitarist in his own right. And Eddie was a recording artist and very popular, especially locally. I think his whole family was involved with music somehow. I think his father was too. And I wanted to, to make sure that Tim learned how to read music so he'd have that advantage that I didn't have. I took lessons in the city for 2 or 3 years, and back then it was $5 for a half-an-hour lesson, which was very expensive. But I always faked my way through it and never did learn to read.
I've heard that from many people. My wife tells me that story about as a child playing the piano. I played, but I cannot follow a note myself. So I know exactly what you're saying here. Did you play much around town here? Did you play much in the area here?
Oddly enough, no. A smattering here and there, but basically played most of the time on the east side of Bergen County, over toward Bergenfield, Dumont, where we're originally from.
You're originally from there?
Yeah, from Dumont. In fact, met my wife in high school, and we're married 43 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
That's wonderful.
Great lady. Music, as I say, very little in this area, just a smattering here and there. But basically Bergen County music and Rockland County.
Yeah, most people will recognize you on television tonight because you were quite involved with your kids with the recreation committee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right?
We were in town a week and I was a baseball coach.
It doesn't take much to get inducted into the coachings. I know that Greg and Isabel have been involved. They have a 10-year-old Adam, and he's on the ball team, and Isabel was coaching, so it doesn't take much to get...
I will say this, I was looking to become a coach when we moved into town, especially when Tim was eligible as an 8-year-old to play. I knew I wanted to get involved in baseball somehow, because that's been a passion of mine for a long time. And of course I'm a Yankee fan, and I go back to the glory years. But we're going to come back again.
Well, that's nice. It's nice to know that people have a real anchor inside their own community and they enjoy what they do
Yeah.
and things like that. And getting back to when we first started off about the rec field being one gigantic meadow.
It was. It was just huge.
It must be fascinating to have memories or to walk around our town and more or less, I mean, you don't remember Oakland when it was like this, do you?
I remember portions of that, but the street was paved, basically paved, probably not well paved like it is today. But I do remember this very well.
Real small town type of a...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody, knew everybody's business, you know, knew everything that was going on in the town. It was that local. And then I moved away, or I stayed away from Oakland for, well, until 1965. And then we got back here. And I was very glad. Even when we moved back into town, it was a growing town, but everybody knew everybody. And much the same as it is with all recreation programs, you see the same faces year in and year out. I was involved with the basketball program, and the same people who were doing the baseball were doing the basketball program.
Sure.
So what they call old reliables, and they were always here, and we had a lot of fun.
Well, I understand that you're going to be coming back here to the Senior Center tomorrow, and you'll be playing for the AARP.
Well, it's actually for the Senior Center itself.
Okay.
They're having a soup and sandwich luncheon, and I'm going to come back, and after we have lunch, we're going to do a sing-along. How
many people would you estimate would come down here on a day like this? This is where all the senior groups would be. Welcome to come down?
All seniors are welcome to come, and they have the soup, the sandwich, and they have salads. You know, potato salad.
How many people show up for something like that, Fred?
Let's see. Last month, I think we had 60 to 70 people here.
Sounds like a good turnout.
Yeah, very enthusiastic crowd. When you get them involved, I've led sing-alongs at our AARP meetings, and they really get into it. I supplied them with sheets with the words.
Lyric sheets?
Yeah, but they didn't need it. No, they didn't need it at all, because they all remember the old songs. And there are so many old songs that we do. We try to do some medleys. Medleys are usually 2 or 3, maybe 4 songs strung together without stopping. And I get a kick out of doing those, because as soon as I start playing a song, I see somebody's eyes light up like, I remember that, I remember that. I did make one mistake a long time ago. I didn't realize it, but I did. When Your Old Wedding Ring was new, and there were some people there, some widows there, and it was kind of hard for me to choke that back after I realized what I was starting.
Oh, gee.
They were very polite. They applauded, and then immediately I led them into singing something else to try and put that out of sight. But you know, as an entertainer, there's many times you take a pratfall, and you have to live with it. You have to live with it.
Well, listen. I'm sure that that our viewers would be eager to have you and your son Tim give a few renditions. So.
Sure.
Let me thank you for coming down now,
Fred,
and to speak with us about Oakland and music, and what you do here in the at the AARP. So when we return, we'll be with Fred Blom and his son Tim. So stay with us and enjoy the show.
a note, cause of me not knowing. Now I find trouble got in the trail. Spent the next 5 years in jail. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, paid no mind to what it said. Detour, all these bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign. To the place where it said about face, thought that all of my worries were behind. But the farther I go, the more sorrow I know. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, paid no mind to what it said. Detour, all these bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign. When I got stuck in the mud, all my hopes dropped with a thud. Thought that my heartstrings were made of twine. But the farther I go, the more sorrow I know. Should have read that detour sign. Detour, there's a muddy road ahead. Detour, paid no mind to what it said. Detour, all these bitter things I find. Should have read that detour sign. Should have read that detour sign. Song from Fiddler on the Roof, Sunrise, Sunset. Is this the little girl I carry? Is this the little boy I play? I don't remember swiftly fly the years, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the days. Seedlings turn overnight to sunflowers, blossoming even as we gaze. Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, swiftly fly the years, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears, laden with happiness and tears.
Good evening. I'm Christy the Clown, and when you take part in the Ringwood Hunger Walk this year, you'll see me and my puppets there. Hunger is still a major problem for millions of people in the United States, including many children and elderly people who you see regularly on the streets in your community. They don't have the resources necessary for assuring adequate nourishment for themselves or their families. For the second year now, Ringwood's churches and synagogue are coming together to sponsor a hunger walk aimed at easing the pain of hunger in their communities. This year will take place at the Ringwood Manor on Sunday, October 19th at 2 p.m. We will raise money for the Ringwood Center for Food Action and Eva's Village in Patterson. Please consider joining us for this effort by recruiting members of your organizations or individuals, and call me at 962-7623 to discuss you or your organization's involvement. Thank you.
We've been delighted with the mail we've received over the summer regarding OK TV's latest production, Alternatives. Alternatives is a 30-minute program taped right here at the Oakland Library and can be seen Sundays at 5 p.m. on TCI Channel 20. Our May premiere featured Oakland poet-playwright Okie Chenoweth. In June, New Jersey State Senator Gerald Cardinal joined a panel of local women discussing self-defense. But still, the public wanted more Chenoweth. So we went into the archives and found a command performance of Okie's work from a reading at Glen Rock High School from November 1995. This was edited for the August Alternatives. The Oakland Public Library now has a VHS copy of the first show available for you to borrow. OK TV will update a 4-show collection tape 3 times a year because it's your freedom of choice. Now, as our production efforts broaden, taping locations and schedules and slated guests can fall prey to the hectic life we all seem to lead these days. The Oaklander website, www.oaklandnj.com, has brought to us many programs taped by other public access groups that will be showcased on future episodes on Alternatives, and we hope you will enjoy the topics being discussed by citizens who use public access TV to express their points of view. So don't worry, we haven't gone away. It's because we want to bring to you a closer look to what other people are talking about in today's changing world. So with that, I hope you will tune in to Alternatives Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. on TCI Channel 20. You never know what you might see. Now we take you back to the Oakland Day 4th of July picnic held here at the Recreation Field on July 5th. As Director Greg Schuss and I hunt for the origin of a piece of Oakland memorabilia from Oakland's past. And here's what we found.
Let him warm it
I
up.
picked up this button in an antique store.
I'll do it later. Yeah, I'm ready.
It says Oakland for economy and performance. Does that ring a bell?
Is that before your time? I was thinking of,
Can't be. That's made of metal.
So what?
it's not lead, huh? I was thinking of Marchese. What the heck did his
take my
group,
turn?
did they have a saying when they were trying to get the
New Jersey
taxes
Taxpayer
down?
Association?
Yeah.
Well, I can't relate it to anybody who first. That's what I know. That's what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's the only one I could think of that would,
No, because I
that
know.
would be what
Because I
was-
know one of his group got on the school board, but I don't remember any particular.
Well, I would appreciate for a little historical hunt that I'm on to see what I can find the town relevance to this button, if it is indeed from Oakland, New Jersey.
Did you ask Pete?
When they start building the heights, they had the
Who had
The Heights neighborhood in town?
Who had the
the
button?
mayor of that time. They had a whole dish when we went up to buy our first house in the Heights.
Vogue was the mayor when we first.
Yeah, Vogue.
Charlie
And
Vogue?
and what the hell is his name? The lawyer. This was to introduce Gator, Sebastian Gator. They had this when they started to
Promoting the sale of
develop.
the building?
They had when we went
why
to
would
the
that-
model house.
why would they- why
Then
would
they
they say-
wanted to tell us what a wonderful town this was going to be. They give you good performance. There were
low price?
about, when we first moved into town, there were only about 1,800 people here.
What year was that?
January
1951.
51.
Wow.
1951.
This is Rhoda and Sal DeCurso. He was a councilman here way back.
This is Rhoda and Sal DeCurso. We said hello to you. Did
That's
you see
right,
that?
and we watch you on your channel.
Right.
Funny all the time.
Right.
We watch you there, or we were just watching you there with, what's his name's wife, and we watched you with talking about the various services in town and the various functions that go into town. We watch Channel 20 all the time. We're very proud to have a channel
Wonderful.
of this beautiful town. What do you want to know about this town?
You have
I was the
settled.
first recreational director before this program was built. On a $35 for the whole program, and we painted macaronis, we painted rocks and everything. We had 35 kids in the whole program in town. Oakland had only one school, they had one church, and the police chief at that time was Chief Marion, and his only other officer was Joe Woods, who later became then chief, many years later. I'm the founder of the Women's Club, Federation of Women's Club.
And you also are in charge of naming the streets in town?
No, that's Andy Lorenzo. She's part of the Women's Club.
Okay.
That's one of the programs that we took on. Naming all the
Next month, we have Les Paul from the fundraiser.
I know Les very well.
Downtown. And Jim Lowe from WVNJ was suggesting that we get a plaque because he recorded Hold That Tiger and Smoke Rings there.
Right here in Oakland.
I live next door to him. I live next door to Helena.
Yes.
And maybe
the
we can get
police.
something together and get a sign going, a historical marker for that.
Yes, Les, and they got a ticket, or they were going to get a ticket for making too much noise in town. And they had nowhere, her Bill at that time, her husband was alive, it was mostly a summer residence up there. It wasn't an all-year-round residence. So I know Oakland very, very well. I knew Henry Hopper when he was the fire chief, and he was the old blacksmith in town. When we still had horses in the academy, he was the shoe man to put the shoes on the horses. And I was the gal that tied myself to the copper tree wall, which changed from the women's club so they shouldn't cut it down.
What a super job you've done in town here.
Yeah,
this town would have been radically different had you not been there.
Well, I served on the auxiliary police for 17 years. I'm now 78 years old.
God bless you.
My husband is 80. This is our hometown. This is where we're going to live and die.
Well, I hope not for a long, long, long time.
Well, this is the Valley of Homes. The Indians, our expression was, wherever we went, Indians once lived here, and now we're living here.
Well, I want to thank you so much for getting to the root of this problem here.
Mayor Moe, at that time, they were promoting to build up the town, and the Oakland Heights, where all of the street names are named after all the various colleges.
So this was from the developer.
From the developer.
From the developer.
Sebastian Gator. I don't know who the banker was. I think my husband may know who the banker was, but Mayor Moe was the notary. And I remember, you know what we paid for our house when we got lost. We were coming in from the Catskill Game Farm with our 2 kids, and we took a wrong turn. And here we were stopped by a train coming through, and then we went up the hill, Franklin Avenue. At that time it was called Campbell Road.
Okay.
That was years back. And there's a development with 2 houses. We were the second house from the corner. We had $25 down and a VA loan.
Welcome back to the Oaklander. OK TV will kick off the Fall '97 Access TV season with another new Access show called Jack's Cooking with Jack DeCristofaro. I'm sure many have seen Jack's Cooking on our weekend programming on Channel 20 cablecast from Franklin Lakes. Jack made his first appearance on the Oaklander in December '95 with a chocolate chip holiday cheesecake, and since then has served us succulent shows such as Chicken Giacomo, poached salmon, grilled vegetables, and a summer special that took us sailing in French Polynesia. Jack will feature viewer mail and share viewer recipes, as well as offering easy tips that are helpful in the kitchen. Jack stresses proper nutrition for the demands of the single or the on-the-go lifestyle in the late 20th century family, and incorporates this into the show. Jack is a native of Lodi, New Jersey, and the 30-minute program will also be seen in the Clifton Hub on TCI Channel 19. Keep reading the Suburban News for date and time for the premiere of Jack's Cooking coming this fall. But for now, we have whipped up a nice little taste just for you. Here's Jack DeCristofaro showing what you can do with all that summer zucchini.
Hi, and welcome to Jack's Cooking. I'm your host, Jack DeCristofaro, and today we have a letter from a Mrs. Annette Manganaro. She writes, "Dear Jack, one of the first things my husband did after purchasing our home was to put in a vegetable garden in our backyard. Now that, let me just say, that is the greatest thing in the world because fresh vegetables are the best. Last year, it seemed as though we had a ton of zucchini, and I must have served it 100 different ways. I have a wonderful zucchini bread recipe, which everyone, myself included, loves, and only drawback is it's very high in calorie content." Yeah, that does happen. "I was wondering, do you know of a low-calorie recipe that my family and my waistline can live with? Sincerely, Annette Manganaro. P.S. We tried your grilled marinated zucchini and eggplant. Very good. Keep on cooking, Jack." Sure, Annette, I think we can get something. We're looking through my books this week, and I found a zucchini bread recipe that has only about 173 calories per slice, 176 calories per slice, and only 7 grams of fat. And if you stay with us, we'll show you how it's done. Stay with us. Okay, welcome back to Jack's Cooking. And as you can see, we've set up the kitchen to do a little baking, and we're going to do this zucchini bread recipe. Now the trouble with zucchini bread is it can be very high in calories due to the fat content. I have a zucchini bread recipe here which I've already tried. I do like this one, but it calls for 1 cup of oil and it only renders 1 loaf, so that could be pretty high in calories. So we went searching and we found another zucchini bread recipe that only calls for 1/2 cup of oil, and yet it still renders 2 loaves, cutting the calorie content down per serving to about 176 calories a serving, which isn't bad. So to start off, we're going to try to beat together 3 eggs. We put our little shield on here, little gadget. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, don't be concerned if you don't get all the ingredients, because there are a lot of ingredients in this recipe. We will have the full recipe on the screen at the end of the show. So let's get this going. We want to make this a nice frothy mixture. Okay. To that, once they start to come together, we're going to add the sugar. And what I have here is a 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of packed light brown sugar. And we'll just add that to the mix, like so. Want this to come up to a nice frothy consistency. And to that, we're also going to be adding a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. This is where we get most of the calories from. Okay. Very good. Now, I don't know if you can get a look at this, but if you can see, you just want to see the consistency of this. It's just starting to get a little bit of a ribbon. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. Okay. While that's mixing up, we can add some vanilla extract. And that'll be 1/2 teaspoon, or 1 teaspoon rather, of vanilla extract. At this point, we want to stop the mixer, and our shield. For now, we'll take that off. We will remove our whisk attachment. Place this over to the side. And we will put in our mixing attachment now. Okay. We can start this back up. Sure, that's in the lock. What I've done, these are some new zucchini that I've peeled, and I've already taken the liberty of shredding some of the zucchini. Now you have about 2 cups of zucchini, but this can vary whatever you have. And we're going to place this into our mixer. Okay. All right, that's coming along just nice. Oh! And let's see. At this point, we can add our baking soda, 2 teaspoons. Oh, this is baking powder. Baking powder, we'll be adding half a teaspoon. Okay, and the baking soda, 2 teaspoons. That's 1 and 2. All right, we're also going to need some salt, 1 teaspoonful of salt. And to this, which is going to give it a nice crunchy, nutty kind of flavor, we're going to add something a little different. This is wheat germ. Okay, and wheat germ we're going to be adding is half a cup of wheat germ. That is going to give a nice crunchy flavor to it. It's also very good for you. Okay. Now I've got some flour here, regular white flour, and it's 2½ cups, which we're going to sift. Now, sifting flour breaks down the particles and makes a nice lightness to whatever you're baking. So we're just going to sift this down. And add the 2½ cups of flour. This zucchini bread is very good with coffee, or even in the morning as a breakfast. These loaves will keep in the refrigerator for quite some time, and you can also make some extra, put it in the freezer for when friends drop by unexpectedly, and just pop it in the oven, warm it back up, and I'll tell you, it's great. Okay, now that the flour is in, we can make sure this is all incorporated. We'll need a spatula. Let's see. Okay. We can turn this off a minute. Take the shield off. Let's get a little more flour in there. And let's just take a look. Scrape this all off the mixer. It looks a little gross, but tastes great. Okay, scrape our bowl, get all our flour incorporated. And we'll give it one final mix. Okay. Take off our blade. We want to get all of this off. All right. At this point, I have some chopped walnuts. about 1/3 of a cup. We can add those two to the mixture. And this is my own preference. I like raisins. I don't know if everybody else likes raisins, but if you do like raisins, this is the time you can add them in. These give a real chewiness to the loaves, and I kind of like them, so that's why I'm putting them in. And these can just be folded in. Let's take this off. And we can just fold this right into the mix. We've already preheated our oven to 350 degrees, and we're going to be making 2 loaves. So what I have here is 2 9-inch loaf pans. These happen to be non-stick loaf pans, so you don't need to butter them or flour them. And I've used these before, and everything just seems to pop right out of them when they're done. Okay. So you try to get this as even as possible. We pour half into one and half into the other. We try to make them even. A little bit more on this one. And get everything off the side of the bowls. Okay. And that's about it. So we're going to take these to the oven. Tap them against the table, make sure they're nice and even. We can just get rid of this, we don't need that anymore. And we'll be popping these into a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes, or until you stick a toothpick into the loaf and comes out dry. All right, so when we come back, we'll be serving this up and we'll see how it tastes. Stay with us, will you? Okay, we're back. And these have been baking now for about 45 minutes. So let's take a look and check them out. Okay. Now, these nonstick baking pans are really, really good. You just want to loosen up the edges. For anyone who doesn't have a nonstick baking pan, what you do is you just use a little butter, a little flour on the inside of the pan, and it should come right out. If they do tend to stick, you can always run a knife along the edge. But these really work very good. These are quite hot, so be careful. You want to let these cool for, 10-15 minutes before you slice them. And I'm just going to put this one on here on the table. This other one I already have here has been cooling now for a few minutes. So let's just take a look at what we have. You can serve this warm from the oven or cold right out of the refrigerator. Let's take a look at the inside. We'll get a nice slice. Oh yeah, this is very good. You can see how the walnuts and the raisins are just suspended inside there. This is very, very, very good. Well, that's it for today. This is our zucchini bread recipe. If you would like a copy of this recipe, please just call us or write us at the Oaklander, care of Jack's Cooking, P.O. Box 312, Oakland, New Jersey, 07436, or give us a call at 405-1084. Until next time, this is Jack DeCristofaro saying happy cooking. This is good.
I'd like to thank Fred Blom and his son Tim for entertaining us this evening on the guitar. To Peg Delmore and the Oakland Senior Center, and to Phil and Rudy from Crossroad Productions for their help directing this evening's program. To Ellen Adler, our local programming director, and to all our friends at TCI for all their support. To Roy, our access coordinator from Franklin Lakes, who makes the weekend access viewing possible. To Elizabeth, Jack, Mary, Greg, and Isabel, the incomparable Oaklander team. And Iz, we all love you. And finally, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Al DiGiacomo, and we'll see you all next time.